Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we will discuss about few more medical terminology related prefixes which we use in order to denote the body part. Okay, so for those who don't know what is prefix, prefix is a word that attaches at the beginning of any medical terminology, and from there it produces any meaning. It could denote a body part, it could denote any shape, size, color, or any information. Okay, we have categorized this prefixes into various part, and like in the previous sessions also we have covered various prefixes that denote the body part, shape, size, color. So this session is in the continuation of the same. So today we are going to discuss about the part 30. Okay, so let's see how what we have for today. So before we start, let me tell you one thing, like how we are going to start with this session. First of all, I'll tell you few prefixes, and I'll explain you the meaning of those prefixes. And once we are comfortable with the prefixes, then we will look for the examples corresponding to the same. Why? Because without example, it would be not that much of easier for us to identify what is the actual meaning of the prefix. And also, when you are in an exam or in an interview, then you might found some terminology which you are supposed to identify in order to crack your exam or interview, right? So in this situation also, it will help you to make a habit of looking at the examples for the specific prefixes. Okay, so let's start with the session. The first prefix we have is lingu or tongue. Now what is lingu or tongue? Like lingu or linguo, it's a prefix in medical terminology that is used in wherever the discussion is related to tongue. Now some of you might have one question, we have already discussed this thing, like the tongue. We have already discussed the prefix related to tongue. So yeah, you are correct, we have already discussed it, but as I told you earlier also, that for a specific word or for a specific part, there might be various alternative names, so we should know about each of them. Okay, because in an interview or in an exam there might be any alternative name used for any particular part. Let's say for tongue, lingu is used. Okay, so it is totally depend on the situation, like which keyword or which prefix has been there for you to identify. All right, so today we are discussing about lingu or linguo, which is a prefix in which we use in order to denote the tongue. For example, lingual artery. Lingual artery. Now, what is lingual artery? It is an artery that supplies blood to the tongue. Okay, so let's say if we are talking about any particular artery which is providing the blood to the tongue, then in that case we will use that medical terminology lingual artery, which is started with the prefix lingu. Okay, likewise, if you look at the second example, which is lingual frenulum. Lingual frenulum. What is lingual frenulum? The band of tissue beneath the tongue that connects it to the floor of the mouth. Okay, so if you look at your tongue, then there is a some tissues beneath your tongue, right? And those tissues help the tongue to connect it with the mouth floor. So that particular area or that particular thing is known as lingual frenulum. Lingual frenulum. So if someone asks you what is lingual frenulum, then you can say it is a medical terminology that shows the band of tissues beneath or below. Both are same, beneath or below. Beneath or below the tongue that connects it to the floor of the mouth. Okay, and the word lingu, which is at the beginning, because as I told you, prefix is always at the beginning, lingu. Okay, so this is representing the tongue, and frenulum is a band of tissue. Okay, so now we will look at the third example, which is lingual nerve. Now what is lingual nerve? It is a branch of mandibular nerve that provides sensory innervation to the tongue. So let's say if someone asks you which branch of mandibular nerve provides the sensory innervation to the tongue, then in that case you can simply reply that yes, it is a lingual nerve that provides the sensory innervation. Okay, so this is how we are supposed to identify the terminology and its meaning, by just looking at the prefix. As I told you, medical terminology is a complete word which is composed of various things like prefix, root word, conjunction word, and suffix. But the prefix is something that is at the beginning, and at the moment we are just discussing about the prefixes. Now, if you look at the fourth example, which is lingual papilla. What is lingual papilla? It is a small raised structure on the surface of the tongue that contains taste bud. So if you look at our tongue, then you will find some raised structure, small raised structure on the surface of the tongue, which we call it as a taste buds. Okay. Now, if you look at all the example again, you will find only one common thing, which is tongue. Everywhere we are talking about tongue, whether it is a artery related to tongue, band of tissue beneath the tongue, a nerve which is related to tongue, or structured raised on the surface of tongue. So in order to denote these all things, what we use the prefix lingu or lingu. Okay. So this is the first prefix. Now we will look at the second prefix. Second prefix is lip or lipo. Lip or lipo. So lipo or lip prefix is mainly used in order to denote the fat. So whenever we are talking or whenever we are having a discussion around fat, then in that case we will use the prefix lip or lipo. For example, lipase. Now what is lipase or lipase? It is an enzyme that breaks down the fat into fatty acid. Okay, so what it do? It break down. It's an enzyme which breaks down the fat or fatty acid into lipid into sorry. It is an enzyme that breaks down fats into fatty acid and glycerol. Okay, so this thing we will denote with the help of this enzyme. We will denote with the help of lipase or lipase. Likewise, if you look at the second example, which is lipoma. Now, what is lipoma? It is a benign tumor composed of fatty tissue. So let's say if someone is suffering from a cancer and that tumor is composed of the fatty tissue, then this thing we will denote it as a lipoma. Okay. So basically it is a tumor. Okay. And which is composed of the fatty tissue. That's why we are using the term lipoma, which is started with the prefix lipo. Likewise, if you look at the third example, which is liposuction. Now, what is liposuction? A cosmetic surgery procedure that remove excess fat deposits from beneath the skin. Okay, so let's say if due to some medical reasons, if a cosmetic surgery is procedured that removes the excess fat deposit beneath the skin, then this entire process is known as liposuction, and the term which we are using as a prefix is lipo, which is denoting the fat. Alright, now if you look at the fourth example, which is lipogenesis. So as I told you earlier also, like if there is a term related to genesis, then it means there is a formation or development of something. Okay, so this thing we will denote with the help of process of forming fat or lipid. Formation or development. So if the process start forming fat or lipid, then this entire process is known as lipogenesis. Again, if you look at all the example, you will find only one common thing, which is fat. Everywhere in these four examples we are talking about fat, and that's why we are using the prefix lip or lipo. So likewise, you can study more prefixes and terminology related to prefix lipo. Okay. Now, next example or next prefix is lymph, which is related to lymph. So, lymph or lympho is mainly used to denote the lymph. For example, lymphadenitis. Lymphadenitis. Lymphadenitis means inflammation of the lymph node. So, whenever the lymph node is inflamed, then this thing we will denote with the help of lymphadenitis. Second example is lymphojima. Lymphogioma. Lymphogioma means a benign tumor composed of lymphatic vessel. So if a tumor is composed of lymphatic vessel, then we will call it as a lymphogioma. Okay. In the third example, we have lymphadenitis. Lymphadenitis means inflammation of the lymphatic vessels. So if due to some of the reasons, if lymphatic vessels are inflamed, then that thing we will denote with the help of lymphadenitis. Now, if we look at the fourth example, which is lymphoblast, an immature form of lymphocyte. So this immature form of lymphocyte is denoted with the help of lymphoblast. Okay. So yeah, these are the all prefixes which I would like to share with you all in this session. I hope it is clear to all of you. And for today, we have only one question, like what information is provided by the prefix carato and lacrimo. So I request you to put the answer of this question in the comment section so that others can take a reference from it. And if you have any doubt in this question, then please go and check out the previous session. There we have already discussed it. Okay. So yeah, that's all for today. In the next session, we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.